Okay, hello dear friends, good afternoon, such a beautiful, beautiful afternoon. So here I have some time, and as I am coming out, airplane again, as I came out for doing some errand, and I passed by this beautiful park. It is so good, so good. So here I would like to introduce you that this morning I did a video with one of my very admired friend. Her name is Chanteuse Tarot. Chanteuse Tarot. So here is the video. Thank you very, very much. Okay.
Okay. Lovely to see you again. I'm I'm very happy to see you. And I was saying your ears must burn because I talk about you often. And I was just wondering, is there a phrase, a saying in Chinese and Mandarin when someone is talking about you? Is there something you say?
We do have it. I think in different regions have different way. But when you sneeze, it means someone talking about you.
Really?
About you.
That's
yes.
really cool.
Yes.
Yeah. You know why we say bless you? Did you ever learn why we say bless you? So I learned when I was in Latin class. I think it's the ancient Romans used to believe when you sneezed, you were vulnerable to spirits entering your body.
Wow.
So in order to protect yourself from being possessed, they would say the equivalent of bless you. So yeah, it's interesting how that came, because you don't have any control over your sneeze, right?
Yeah.
So they thought you were very vulnerable and spirits could enter your body.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Another way, Chinese, when we say, at least in my family, in my root, when you sneeze, we say 100 years. 100岁.
For good luck.
For good luck. And if you sneeze another time, 200 years. 100岁, 200岁. So when I was young, my sister always joked me with this. That's
funny. I'll try to start saying that.
100岁.
I like it. And also, if you're, I get them confused. If your palm itches, well, I can't remember. Left palm depends on the country, means money's coming. And the right palm means you lose money. It's different, I think, in Asia and India, for example, than it is in the United States. But my mother taught me that. She got it from her great grandmother. So
左眼跳财，右眼跳灾. Left eye blinking, you will have good fortune coming your way. And right eye blinking, you will have trouble, disaster, problem coming.
Okay, good.
We also,
left, bad, right.
Yeah.
I'll have to remember that. But I am so excited that we're meeting again. I wish it were in person. I was in California. I don't know did I tell you that? No, but I was in San Diego. I was nowhere near you.
Wow.
I went to visit my brother. I hadn't seen him in 2 years. And it was the first time I'd been on a plane since my injury and since COVID. So it went pretty well overall. I did have some migraine episodes, but it was really wonderful to see him because, for the last 2 years, our plans to see him had been on hold.
Wow.
So I don't know when I'll see him again because of everything that's up in the air.
Yeah.
But I'm very grateful for that time. And I do have some friends in the Bay Area, but I don't know if I have any more family there, but I love California. I think it's a beautiful state. And I don't know, I may end up moving there. It all depends on how things unfold. For right now, I have to stay where I am, but I've thought about moving to California just because I think it's the kind of environment, progressive, a lot of beautiful weather.
Yeah.
And I have family there. I have cousins who moved there just 3 years ago. My brother's there. My aunt and uncle are there. So I like to be near family, so that's important.
Yeah, it's so good to try something new, to see the new
they've
world.
been trying to get me to move there for years, but I didn't want to because so many family members are here on the East Coast, Philadelphia, DC, New York, and Virginia, but now my family started moving out west, so it's possible that I'll end up there. Who knows? But I think it's a really wonderful state if you can afford it to raise a family.
So good.
So if you're ready, I would like to ask you a few questions. Is that okay?
Please.
Okay. So I was wondering, because you've lived in so many wonderful places and your children, I believe, are biracial, have you had any experiences, you and your family also, where you encountered racism or xenophobia because you were from another culture? And if so, how did you respond? What did you say, or how did you react?
In general, I am quite an insensitive person. I do not take it. I do not know. Never thought about it, actually. I know I am very out of the political or the current situation. I didn't think about it. If anyone has a problem on the road, someone show a finger to you, he has problem, and that's it. It's not my problem. I do not take it. I have not yet met something that I took serious, other people's problem, especially with people. We are all human. If they have trouble, they have trouble. They hate you not because, in my opinion, not because of me. It's the explosion of his own problem, of their own problem.
Okay. Well,
do I make any sense?
Yes, absolutely. I think it also depends where you travel and where you're from, because I think every region has its own civil and racial conflict. So I think it just depends. My experience here in the United States is likely very different from yours because I have African ancestry, and unfortunately, the country was founded on slavery, so it's much more complicated than I think for you, for example, living in Europe. I have encountered racism in Europe, but not to the degree that I've experienced it here in the United States. And that's for a lot of reasons. I also am a fair-skinned woman of color. So things that, I may not have experienced may have been a problem for darker-skinned foreigners, for example, in Spain. And that's for a bunch of different reasons, but even not just racism, but colorism. And even my grandparents, who I'm very grateful to have known, and I love them very much, they would use terms for darker skinned people that made me and my cousins very uncomfortable. But they also grew up in an era where there were bathrooms for whites and coloreds. I mean, my mom remembers going to Florida when she's a baby boomer. She was born in the 40s, and she remembers going south and seeing bathrooms for different racial groups, and it was unusual up in Philadelphia, of course. And then I have my great uncle who was a really talented basketball player in the 40s or late 30s, early 40s. He unfortunately was not treated well. He was the only young Black man on his high school basketball team, and he lived in Ohio, and they were traveling, I think, to an away game, and they stopped to get food on the way home, and the restaurant would not serve him. And unfortunately, his coach did not respond, I think, in the best way, and he allowed it. So my great uncle had to eat alone on the bus while the rest of the team went inside, which I think hurt him deeply for the rest of his life. It wasn't just an isolated incident. I do feel like as a country and as a world, we are making progress. I mean, race doesn't really exist. I mean, on a DNA level, we're more alike than we are different. I think being in the age of COVID, and because of previous political leaders, I'll just say that broadly, I won't go into detail, there's been an attitude, not just here in the United States, but in Europe and other areas, of this xenophobia. We're being afraid of people from certain countries or regions for ridiculous reasons, because we're Muslim, because COVID's origin is thought to be in Asia. And I've heard these horrible stories of people being discriminated against because of this connection that doesn't even make any logical sense. So there's that, but I feel like also, I mean, we're making so much progress. Are you familiar with Loving Day? It's June 12th, I think. Have you heard of that holiday?
No.
So Loving Day, it's a wonderful story. Well, it's a sad story, but it's an inspiring story. There was a couple in, I think it was in the 1960s. I want to say around 1965. You can look it up. There's a movie about them called Loving. That was their last name, Loving. And the woman was a Black American woman, and her husband was white, very fair skinned. And I think they lived in Virginia, but don't quote me. They had children. The police showed up in the middle of the night, pulled them out of their beds, and arrested them for interracial marriage. That was still considered breaking the law in certain states in the 1960s. That was only 50 years ago.
Wow.
Legislation was eventually passed where all of those it's miscegenation laws against marrying someone outside of your race, which I don't really think exists, was removed. But these people, I mean, can you imagine being at home with your husband sleeping and the police show up and take you out of your bed and tell you that your marriage is against the law, is a crime? Wow. So June 12th, I think it's June 12th, is celebrated as Loving Day among families that have an interracial bond or marriage or partnership, and it shows how far we've come. I think we're going to continue to make progress. I think we have a lot more progress to still make, but I'm so grateful to live in a time where we can look back at that and see how ugly and damaging that was. But yeah, it's interesting. Also, I took a class, a film class in undergraduate. My undergraduate time, and I took several film classes, and one of them was Black women in film. So in my mind, because I'm born here in the Northeast United States, I had a concept of what Black meant to me. It means something different in different places. And we were watching film with Indigenous women from Australia. We watched another film that was Indigenous women, I think in New Zealand, who considered themselves Black. So it really, I mean, just any class I took taught me tremendously, but between those courses and also living in other countries, it's helped me so much to expand my awareness of what identity is, of what culture is, and that one term in one country can mean something completely different in another. If I were in South Africa, I'd be called colored because I have mixed ancestry, Native American, English, African. But here I'm Black. Black is something completely different in South Africa. So I'm really hopeful for the future, and I'm glad. It makes me happy, my heart happy, to know that you haven't experienced the kind of racism that exists in this country. Excuse me. also, I mentioned before, I wanted to say again, the brown paper bag test. So I don't know when the practice stopped, but it used to be fairly common in the United States. I would say between, let's say 1900 and 1965, just guessing. You could go to some house parties or fraternity parties, and there would be a brown paper bag at the door.
Wow.
And if you were darker than the bag, you were not allowed to enter. You were prevented from going in. And it, it makes me sad that happened. But I think it's also a wonderful learning opportunity for us as well. And rather than looking at these heartbreaking stories as things we should be ashamed of, I think we should look at how much we've changed and how we don't want to go back to that kind of existence.
Yes.
Because it just begets more hatred and
that's not right. Yeah.
I'm really grateful that I never had to experience that. But I've had people tell me I've experienced racism, but I've also experienced colorism. I've had people tell me, well, you're not really Black, or the only thing Black about you is your nose, or you clearly don't understand what it's like to be discriminated against because you're well educated and you're fair skinned, but that's not true. I mean, we all have our own sad stories, but I've learned a lot from mine, and I hope that other people have the same mindfulness about it, rather than it making them bitter and angry. My next question for you is, do you have experience befriending others who share different or opposing political, spiritual, religious beliefs? Because that's been something that I've had to examine recently, about how many of my friends are exactly like me, and how many of my friends have ideas and opinions that differ from mine. Do you have that? Have you had that experience?
I think I have. But I do not focus on that part of political difference. I have seen on Facebook group or on some other groups, people that talk differently, believe differently, and no need to unfriend it. It is not necessary. In my opinion, on the basic, we are all human, and we have different education, and we have different background. So we believe in different things. But they share a picture of good food. They share a picture of baby, which is the same as us, which there are some very basic things we can still talk to each other. Any group, any culture, or any place, if you want to get its strength, it's better to have a diverse voice, opinion. And if we ourselves cannot accept different opinion, we only hear from one voice, then we are missing a lot. We cannot see things from different perspectives. So when they talk about those things, just not watch it and understand. And I think this can be a ground that we understand. That's a beautiful lady. That's a wonderful young man. Besides everything, it's a good person. It's just the ideology different from us. It's hard. I know it's very hard to see people have different opinions. Ignore their opinion and move on with it. It's my life. I live on with my life. And live and allow other people to live. There are people different from us. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, she's another tarot reader, and we've been friends for about 2 years, all online because she lives many states away. But as we became closer, because we chat almost daily, we found out that we have some very fundamental perspectives on issues that can be quite divisive in this country. And it was an opportunity for me to say, okay, even though we disagree on this, this, and this, can we still be friends? As long as her opinion didn't in any way, I feel, lead directly to my harm. And I know that she comes from a very good and pure place, because she's one of the kindest and just thoughtful people that I've ever known in my life. It made me realize she's someone I want to have in my life, even if there's certain topics that we can't necessarily agree on. Her friendship means more to me. The value that she brings to my life, what she's taught me as a tarot reader, as a woman, it outweighs any differences. And I don't know if I could have said that 10 years ago. I don't know if I was in a mature enough and emotionally mature enough place to be able to be that close to someone who differs from me. We have differences, but we also have a lot of similarities. The way we view spirituality and our desire to help others. She's a mother. I hope to be a mother one day. And I think those things are more important. The fact that, you know, I was there for her when she's gone through some really difficult times and lost loved ones, and she's been there for me as well. To me, it's so much more important than the fact that we may disagree politically. And, you know, she and I've had this conversation, and she said, I think the goals are the same, that even if I have a different political view from you, I still want my family to be safe. I still want to be able to do what I love and be able to afford diapers and food for my family. Those are fundamental desires, whether, you know, whether you live in India or you live in Hawaii, it doesn't really matter, right? We all want, I think at the end of the day, we want the same things. We just may have different ideas about how to achieve those things. So
Another,
sorry, go ahead.
Another thing, I try to avoid people who is too passionate about their opinion. If people too passionate and get too stuck on it, they lost a sense of perspective. Maybe we lost a sense of perspective, maybe in other people's opinion, but keep it cool. Don't change into an insurance seller. That every time you go any place, try to promote something, sign up to this website and go here, and then you can stop. Then we should stop. It becomes too much interference. If both can cool enough and keep a distance and be strong with their opinion, it's totally no problem. I am strong in my opinion. You are strong in your opinion. We have our different territory. We make sure that those opinions do not conflict, do not put up to the table, because no one will listen to another person. At least I cannot teach another person, and I cannot be taught by another person of their opinion. So keep it separate, keep it clean. Do things that we are the same. Share.
I agree. I agree completely. I wanted to shift the conversation to is that all right if we move to a different topic?
Perfect.
Okay. So I know I think it was the last time we spoke, one of the last times, we talked about TikTok. Did we talk about TikTok?
Yes.
I now am regularly posting on TikTok, and I wanted to share my experience with you because I think you should consider it. It is an entirely different demographic. There are people on there who may have less than 500 followers on Instagram, but there they have 25,000 followers. It's a way to reach a broader, younger audience. And my growth on TikTok has been faster than my Instagram and YouTube combined.
Wow.
I have gained 600 followers on TikTok in 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting it. I just was very, like you, I was very diligent. I kept uploading and just hoping that eventually, those people who were my tribe, who wanted to see the content would come to me. And then a video I posted went viral and had over 1,000 views.
Wow.
And now I think my highest is nearly 6,000 views. For someone, I don't even have 1,000 followers yet. I just started my account a few months ago, or so maybe 6 months ago. And I post daily. But I've also met wonderful people like you on TikTok, people that I probably wouldn't have engaged with on other social media sites because TikTok is their primary focus. And I did ask for their permission first. I have 2 people I think you should check out. They are tarot readers, but they're also artists in their own right. So the first is Art Leo. That's his name, Artleo. And I think he and I are going to collaborate soon, but it's a surprise. So I'll be quiet until we do. But I'm excited. He is a tarot reader, but he's also a fantastic painter. You have to see some of his work. And I think when you find there's so many artistic people in the spiritual community that read tarot, but they also paint or they sing or they play instruments. And the fact that you can combine the two, I think, is amazing. So we've been talking about ways that we can collaborate with our other interests in addition to tarot. He also recently shared, have you heard of moon blocks before? This is entirely new to me. Moon blocks. So moon blocks, which I'd never heard of before, are a type of divination, like tarot, like a pendulum. You could even say a fortune cookie is kind of divination, but anything that you used to provide you with information about unknown information about the present and the future. So moon blocks, correct me if I'm wrong, Art Leo, I hope I'm not saying this wrong, are Chinese in origin. They're little crescent wooden pieces. One side is flat, the other side is rounded, curved. And you throw them on a table and ask a yes or no question. And based upon how they fall, like runes, I think, you'll get either a yes or no answer. But I think they're Chinese in origin. I'd never heard of them before. I'm always learning something new. And he is very much an advocate of protecting cultural practices, because I think there's unfortunately a trend where people will see something that's done, a ritual or a practice in a certain community, and then they take it and decide that they want to do that as well, but without doing any research or, it's, I think out of respect for certain groups of people, communities, and traditions, if we want to use something that they hold sacred, I don't think there's anything wrong with that inherently, but I do think it's your responsibility to gather information so that you practice respectfully and mindfully. So I did ask him to create a video about moon blocks. He said he had to think about it because he was worried about it being used in a very superficial way, like a fad, like a trend, but this is hundreds, thousands of years of practice. And I have a friend that I met. That's how I met Art Leo, and his name is Brady Wolf. He just started, I think, his channel a year ago, and he has 36,000 followers. He's fantastic. Wow. I learned something new from him all the time. So the pandemic, I think, although it's caused a lot of heartache and grief and despair, it's also been an opportunity, a time of great opportunity, because I know people who, for whatever reason, they say they couldn't do their regular job, or they were restricted and they had to find another way to make income, or creative ways to spend their time, because they got tired of watching Netflix and walking around the block. They didn't have anything else to do. Like, I've started baking. It doesn't always turn out well. I know it. Yeah. I tried to make maniquiche. Have you had maniquiche before?
Maniquiche.
Yeah, it's sometimes called Lebanese pizza. It's a flat bread. I'm gluten-free because I have my body doesn't tolerate gluten. So I tried to make it. It was a disaster. I was so upset. I spent all this money on ingredients and it came out horribly, but I'm not giving up. I've made wild blueberry bread with blueberries. And I soak the chai tea in milk.
Oh, wow.
And that was delicious. But I had a few loaves that were not very good, but I learned. And my next culinary project is to try soda bread, which is an Irish.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll send you the recipe. My recipe is gluten-free, but I've never made actual bread, like a loaf before. So I'm excited about that. But the reason I say this is because Brady was a hairstylist before TikTok. That was his full-time, I believe, his full-time job. And then a year ago, I don't know what inspired him to do it, but his channel is also tarot and spirituality based. And he now no longer styles hair. His full-time job is reading tarot. Wow. He also has an Etsy shop. He creates oils, and I think he makes candles. I can't remember.
Wow.
But you know, a year ago, that wasn't true. And he told me that hairstylists, particularly in the South, really suffered financially because in the first few months of the pandemic, it wasn't considered an essential business. And a lot of these hairstylists and other estheticians were completely out of work. They had no financial support. People were losing their homes.
Yes.
And he said that he was part of the community that rallied. They wrote letters to the state government and complained, we can't survive like this. We need help. And they ended up getting financial assistance from the government, and they don't have to pay it back. So I just feel like the opportunities that are inherent in disaster are there, but we just have to look for them. You know, I think there's many ways you can look at something like this. We're still in a pandemic that is still taking lots of lives, but look at all the beautiful things that have come out of this. I think every opportunity is a learning opportunity.
Yes.
Even if you lose or, you know, the outcome is different than you hoped for, there's still a way to find a positive in it, in my opinion. So Brady Wolf and Art Leo are they inspire me so much. And they have a lot of, I like TikTok because it's a way to learn. I've learned so much about history, politics, other countries, spirituality, baking, cooking. But it's in 3 minutes or less. Some videos are only 15 seconds. And
1 minute, right? Or less.
Now you have 3 options. I usually make videos that are under a minute, and then I also post them as shorts on YouTube.
Okay.
But you can also make videos up to 3 minutes.
Okay.
And I've learned how to edit, how to use audio from other creators.
Yeah.
I'm still learning how to use TikTok, but I think you would do fantastically well on TikTok. And I want to say the majority of TikTok users are likely under 30, but I mean, I'm on there, I'm over 30.
Yeah.
But there's everything. If you want to laugh, there are people who will make you laugh. If you want spiritual advice, there's that. If you want to know how to make, you know, quiche or lasagna, there are people who specialize in cooking. Yeah. Really, whatever you can imagine, it exists. And there are people on there who have millions of followers, and that's how they support themselves. So I think you would be amazing on TikTok. You should look into it. I also try not to overwhelm myself because of my health condition. I will often post similar things or the same thing across platforms. Okay. So if I make a video on TikTok, I post the same video on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. It doesn't always work. Like I can't, obviously my longer videos on YouTube are too big to go on TikTok, but I try to I think less is more. And it's interesting how these algorithms work, because I'll get like 4,000 views for the same video on TikTok, but on YouTube, I'll get 100 or sometimes 10 or 5. So I don't think, unfortunately, I don't think it always has to do with content. I think a lot of it has to do with the numbers game. It doesn't.
Yes.
I mean, I don't really know. I can't explain it. And I don't even know if people who have large followings can explain it. I don't know why that one particular video went viral, but it did. And then within 2 months, I had 400 new followers that I never expected. So I'm grateful for that. One of the other things to segue, I wanted to talk to you about was, do you use visualization or rituals or some kind of other process to create certain situations or outcomes in your life? Like if you want to do a particular painting or have a certain, I don't know, just anything that you can think of, do you use any sort of process or ritual or visualization before you do it, or do you just do it?
I usually search online for a picture. I do not have idea just coming out.
Okay.
But the surrounding, I would like it as simple as possible. Not the surrounding, not incense, not music, not that things. Mostly picture. I see it, and then I get an idea, and then I follow it. And then I am not able to follow and become something totally different. And the ideas start to build up. You paint a tree, and then a mountain comes out, and then a river comes out, and then splash come out. It's all just as you go, the idea starting to build. But I do need a picture, something to get me started, to warm up.
Do you do that as well for your students? Like if you want to have a certain lesson, are you inspired by a picture or photo? Or
yes. Okay. Yes. They a lot of times students is the same. They have no idea what to paint. Once you see the picture, they start to build up their idea. It is so important. And then their idea comes out totally different. But that's a starting point. Someone just like to follow, someone just against to follow. So they have a base to get started.
I like that. Have you ever heard of a money bowl? Money bowl?
No.
I don't know where it started in origin, but I have one to show you.
Please.
So this is my money bowl. Oh, I don't want it to fall out. So I can't tip it too much, but I have cinnamon sticks. I have jade. I have bay leaves. Salt. Green Aventurine. It's a crystal. And I have money. I put some other things in there, but essentially it's, I don't even know what to call it. A ritual to attract abundance. Like, if you like feng shui, I guess maybe, or if you have a money tree. And I learned about it on TikTok from my friend Brady Wolf. He posted a video because I was obsessed when I heard money bowl, and I thought, I want to know what that is. Sure, if it brings more money, let's do it. So he has a money bowl, but his is slightly different. So because I bombarded him with questions, he created a video on TikTok just for me, answering my question. And he was very lovely in saying, this is how I do it, but the way you do your money bowl is up to you. It's a way of attracting abundance into your life. And there's no really right or wrong, but these were suggestions that he made. So, I had to use what I had at home. I think I put basil in there, maybe oregano, but things that are supposed to attract abundance and wealth. I think it's also a mindset.
Yeah.
It's like a place that I can focus my energy on one particular thing. Now, I have been doing mantras. I have been praying. But I noticed within days that my abundance shifted after I made this money bowl.
Wow.
within like less than a week, I was offered a contract for a new job.
Wow.
I received two emergency, two purchases, orders on Etsy of a new, I put emergency readings on my shop. So usually it takes up to a week, give or take a few days, for me to do a reading, but I've decided to add emergency reading. So you pay more, but then you get the video of the recording of the reading within 2 days, 24 to 48 hours. Almost immediately, I got 2 new emergency readings.
Wow.
And then I received a purse from a relative. It was a hand-me-down purse. And when I opened it, there was a Target gift card inside. It was unused. And then was another thing happened. Oh, I think it was like the day or two after I made the bowl, I was looking in my jewelry box for jewelry to donate, to give away. And I found a gold bracelet I didn't even remember. And I was able to take it to a currency coin buyer down the street. And I mean, something I didn't even know I had. And he gave me cash.
Wow.
So I don't want to say that it's the money bowl. I think it is to a certain degree, but I think more than anything else, it's focused intention, kind of like your picture. It's a place to focus my energy. And I'm happy to send you a link to the Money Bowl video, but it was a wonderful way to help me to feel like I had control over something. Because a lot of this past 2 years, I have felt completely out of control with my health, with the pandemic. And I think feeling out of control is a very common cause of depression, when you feel like you have no control over anything in your life. There are a lot of things I still can't control, but I can control, how I spend my time, who I spend my time with. And I think when you look for those things that you have control over, even if it's just making your bed or, drinking 8 glasses of water or whatever it is, it helps you to feel more purposeful and more encouraged. Because I could list 1,000 things that make me feel out of control right now, but that doesn't empower me. It just makes me feel more lost and anchorless. So I just wanted to ask that's why I wanted to know what you do, because I'm always learning new ways. But this Money Bowl thing, I mean, I even made I made 2 thank you videos because the progress after making one is just, it felt like it happened almost overnight. And I've been trying these other things for the last year. So yeah, Money Bowl, it worked for me. And I think it could be an inspiration for other people to do similar things. And, you could also make a love bowl, probably, if you're looking for romance or, creativity bowl or something. I think it's limitless. Okay, so my next question for you is, I've been wanting to know this for months. How did you become an educator? Because I remember you said you used to be an international business. Is that right?
Yeah.
And that seems so different from art education. Yeah. I'm curious, if you don't mind sharing, how did you transition from that field into education?
Okay. Long story short, I became a full-time student. I was doing business, import, export. I think it was quite good, making money and things. And then I went to Paris to become a student, to learn French, full-time student. And I have no money at all, right? No income. And I saw there is a small newspaper and have advertisement. Even here, we have newspaper advertisement, those small, teeny, tiny, teach Chinese, teach calligraphy, teach something. So I started from there. And I post an announcement that I can teach a 2-line, teach Chinese, native Chinese speaker teaching Chinese. And then I got 1 person start to learn, and then 2 person and 3 persons. So it does work. Starting from there, I start to teach, starting from teaching Chinese language. And then there was two young girls. They want to learn Chinese calligraphy. Then I start to do Chinese calligraphy. It stopped there. And then we came to America. And I start to post on the street, those little stickers, starting from there. And then I took a community college class.
Okay.
And, one of the teacher, he said, everyone can be a teacher. Then I start to apply to teaching community college. There's no degree demanded. It's an interest-based. Starting from there. And then later on get a certification, get other things. And the school is opening, has an opening. Everything get into that trend.
That's a beautiful story. And I want to repeat something that you said for the viewers. Anyone can be a teacher. My students teach me a lot. I mean, a lot. I have learned so much from my students, just as much as I learned in graduate school. I mean, about life, about teaching, about patience, I've taught students that when I received my graduate degree, that it just never occurred to me that I would teach. I never thought I would teach a monk. I never thought I would teach women who wear veils, hijab, who are fundamentalist Muslims who cover themselves. And when you're teaching, it's difficult when you can't see the face of the person you're instructing. But I figured it out. I've just learned so much, and I feel so blessed to be an educator. Not to say that I don't have times when I have cried, having to, I taught a college preparatory course. I don't know if I told you this, the largest class I've ever had of college students, the summer before the pandemic in 2019, I recently returned from Spain and I needed a job right away to pay some bills. So I took a job teaching students from China. And they were going to, they were exchange students, international students. Some of them would be studying an undergraduate degree and others were working on their master's. I had 3 weeks to prepare them for their first American college experience. That is not enough time. Just 3 weeks. And I had no idea how I was going to do this. There was no curriculum, really. It didn't exist. There was an outline of what we needed to cover, but I lost so much sleep because I'm a perfectionist. I know this. I'm very difficult on myself, but the idea of teaching a class to prepare these students, excuse me, for their first semester at an American university, they had no experience writing papers in English. They didn't understand completely. They didn't understand the idea of plagiarism. I had to teach them how to cite, how to make references without stealing intellectual property. I mean, it was a lot. And I had them 3 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Wow.
I did it. And I can say that I did it. I don't want to do something like that again. It was very stressful because I got the job and then I had, I think, a week to prepare. But I did it. And I learned so much about myself, what I'm capable of. I learned how to manage my time better. But, by the time I left, I thought, well, I did the best that I could. I hope they appreciated it. And at the end, we had an awards ceremony for the students. And I had several young women come up to me and tell me how grateful they were and that they had never even heard of this particular system of citation before. And they were so grateful. And they said, we see how hard you worked every day to keep lessons engaging and to help us, to support us in our learning. And that to me meant more. I mean, of course the paycheck was wonderful, but to know that so there were people in the world who could say, I learned this because this human being, this woman, this professor, made it her priority to instruct me, to give me the information that I needed to succeed. And the money's been spent, it's gone, but that's priceless and timeless. I will for always remember those words. I have gifts from my students, some letters. I have, I've received things from all over the world, but it's the words, it's the feedback from my students that means the most to me. And it's humbled me so much. And it helps me to keep going, to feel like, okay, I'm not so terrible at this as I sometimes think I am, even when I make mistakes. And I'm the first to say in class, I may have misspoken here, or actually let's revisit this topic because I think I may have given you some conflicting information. I think that even if you're an educator, even if you have a PhD, you still can learn from those who are less formally educated. As long as you are open to it. I've met people who have advanced degrees and who they just aren't very smart. They have a lot of technical information, but they don't have high emotional intelligence. I had a professor in my graduate program who was extremely knowledgeable. She was very intelligent, but she was not a good educator. I remember one of my best friends in the program wrote a letter complaining about how awful she was. And it wasn't to be unkind. It was a class where we would usually be more confused by the end of the class than we were at the beginning. And that's not how education is supposed to be. I think part of being a good educator, and I'm sure you have come to realize this, is your ability to adapt your classroom and your learning objectives to your student, because each class is different. Everybody learns in a different way. And if you can't figure out a way to modify your lesson plans, there are so many students who won't be benefiting from your class because you're not teaching for them, you're teaching for yourself. And that's not what, in my opinion, that's not what education is supposed to be about. It should be learner focused. Of course you have your standards you have to follow, but if you're teaching, there are times I've been in class where I said, this isn't working. Let's try something else. And often something else would work, but there are times when I had to try, 3 times, 4 times. And then once I found that method or that activity that seemed to engage my students, that was a success. So, what you said, I'm sorry, I get off on a tangent, but your comment about everyone can be a teacher is really important, because I never thought that I could be an educator. I was an administrator, I was a program director, but I never taught formally before. And I didn't think that I really had it in me. I was wrong. I think it just takes the best set of circumstances, because sometimes you have to teach someone something out of necessity. They need to have this information, and you're the only person in their immediate vicinity who can teach them. So I think that's really important, and I love that you said that. Are there any? And my last question for you, because I think I need to go soon, is have you begun any new projects, and not just artistic projects, but anything during COVID since the pandemic began? Have you found inspiration during this time? Is there anything that you may have attempted in the last 2 years because of current global circumstances? Is there anything that you feel like because of what's been going on in the world has allowed you to start something new?
Yes.
Like what?
I think online business
is
one of the things, and it is become a thing. Yes, because people are less. it becomes bigger and bigger. Online shopping, online things. So a lot of things happens more online.
Yeah. It's funny because just three years ago, I remember I had to be careful in interviews not to ask if I could work remotely because it was considered lazy. You know, you don't want to come into the office. And now there are positions that won't even allow you to come in. You have to work remotely. Wow. So it's amazing how things have so shifted fundamentally in just under 2 years.
Yes.
But I'm happy about my baking. I didn't really have time to do it before, but I've got lots of time now. I'm not working full time. I do my tarot readings, and I just accepted something very part-time that allows me to work as I feel well enough.
Oh, wonderful.
So that's great. Yeah, I'll share it with you because I've been hired as an article writer.
Oh,
and
wow.
I can write at my leisure. And the other thing about it that's great for people who have disability is that I can dictate part of my article, with my phone. So if I have a migraine or I'm not able to type for whatever reason, I can speak it into an app, convert it into text.
Yeah.
So I've learned lots of ways to work around things because this is my new normal. Excuse me, it'll be 2 years in February since my accident, and I've learned a lot of new ways of being. It's different, and sometimes I miss the old ways. I think that's true for a lot of people now. I miss going to a restaurant and not having to wear a mask. I miss those things.
Yeah,
I think that'll change eventually, but I'm learning to accept where I am now. So I'll give you the opportunity, the choice. If you wanted, I have an affirmation, a positive affirmation card for you, and I can wait and we can, end our talk, or I can do it now. You tell me what you prefer.
Yeah, we can do it, and then we end our talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got the Target gift card I was telling you about, I used it to buy these. These are positive affirmations to inspire you, to encourage you. So I call upon my guides and angels and High Ying's guides and angels. You have them, even if you don't see them. I'm asking for you, please, to give me a message for High Ying, whatever she most needs to see, feel, hear, know, and understand, a message that supports her on her journey, that provides her with confidence and helps her to be the best version of herself. A message for High Ying, please. What does High Ying need to know right now? All right, you got 3 cards. Oh, geez, 4. All right, I will read them. I will read them quickly. First, we have options, and I'll read it for you. As I open to the abundant possibilities of my life's path, I'm reminded that I always have unlimited options. Life is a buffet, and I allow myself to do whatever makes me happiest without limiting thoughts like, you can't put mac and cheese on your baked potato. If you want to put mac and cheese on your potato, you can. All right, next we have impermanence. This is a good one for me. I'm learning to let go. Life is always changing, and I drift easily through these changes, good and bad. As I drift through hard times, I can take comfort in knowing that I will leave them behind. As I drift away from good times, I can take comfort in knowing that more will come my way. Impermanence is an equal opportunity non-entity.
Wow.
I like that one. Okay, we have, oh geez. All right. Spontaneity. That's what it looks like. Do you like spontaneous adventures of the highest caliber? The only acceptable answer to this question is yes. So buckle up, Charlie. You're about to take a wild ride through the unexplored, unconventional, and underrated. You're about to learn that yes is a magic word with the power to unlock new dimensions in space, time, and after hours hangouts. Yes will lead you to experiences you didn't think possible and teach you that lifelong friendships are sometimes lurking just behind a karaoke singer's mullet. Then it says, there's a pretty good chance your name is not Charlie, but okay. Last,
yes.
Your guides had a lot to say to you today. Generosity. I think you're one of the most generous people I've ever met. I give generously to those around me, no matter how much or how little I have. I know there is more than enough to go around, and that the key is to allow it to keep going around without stopping. If I stop the flow, I'm like the one person at the stadium who doesn't do the wave. It's true. All right, last, and then I will let you go. Patience. Oh, this has been a lifelong journey.
Wow.
Patience. Congratulations. You've been granted more patience. You may start using it right away or
right now.
much, much later. Waiting a long time is the sort of option now afforded to you by greater patience. Can you believe it? Look at this. You're still reading and you haven't started getting annoyed yet. Imagine how this patience will transform your life. Imagine how easy it will be to go to the post office. Yeah, I'm still working on this one.
Oh, you are reading that. That is exactly what
I wish I could take credit, but no, you got 5 cards.
Wow.
I was reading this.
Wow.
So I believe those were the messages that you were meant to hear, and I'm grateful to be able to share them with you. They work for me too, and I hope that they resonate for people watching.
Yes.
But it's all about how you frame your thoughts, right?
Yes.
Something can happen and it can devastate you, or it can inspire you, and you inspire me, and I'm grateful to have this time with you. So thank you so much. I know I've said thank you 100 times, but I feel like I could say it 100 times more. And you know, if it hadn't been for the pandemic and my accident, I would never have found your channel. I just would not have had time. So time is your friend. I feel like that's something that I've learned. Time and patience are your best teachers.
This is so fun. Thank you. Oh, this is so fun.
Thank you. I hope you you like those messages. And I would love, when I finish this article, the first one that I do, I'll send it to you, because it's for teaching people who want to teach English as a career. So I'm excited. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so very much.
Yeah.
I will stop the recording.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.